All right, here we go. Tonight we're going to cover color. And so what we're doing here is we're going back through, and there were some problems with the broadcast on Blackboard Collaborate. So we're just going to make a real quick screencast out of this one. It shouldn't take very long, but we'll go ahead and get that done. Just a real quick look at the pacing guide. We're on section 3, color, and we're going to go ahead and start working on that. As you can see, the dates are 10/19 through 11/6, so you've got a couple more weeks to work on this and get stuff done. All right, so after we look at that, we can go ahead. Let's look at the introduction. Basically, color is, we're going to look at the property of additive color, not particularly subtractive colors that does with light, deals with light, but we're going to work with additive color in terms of pigment and other things. And so here we have the blending of colors. And we're going to talk about the properties of color, such as hue, value, and intensity, and how that reacts. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about blending all the colors and creating a color wheel. That's going to be one of the project assignments. Create an example of how colors change in intensity through tints and shades. We'll talk a little bit about that, and that'll be one of the projects. Complete a color scheme mandala. We're going to go ahead and talk about those here. Also, so mandalas, they're basically just, you'll fill them in, you can print them off. You'll complete 3 of those with a color scheme. And then complete a still life showing the a use of a color scheme, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. And then, of course, add one more artist to your Art Gang page. All right, so here we have just a little video about the primary colors and what they are. Obviously, they are red, yellow, and blue. And as you can see under that, we have the color wheel. Now that color wheel, you can see the primary colors are aligned in a triangle, an equilateral triangle. And so in that triangle, you have them equally spaced on the color wheel. Primary colors, you cannot go through and you cannot make primary colors. You cannot mix to get primary colors. Generally, primary colors are made from raw earth materials, such as like cobalt for blue, red iron oxide for red, things like cadmium and vanadium for yellow. The secondary colors are the colors that you get by mixing 2 primaries. So red and yellow will equal orange, so on and so forth, okay? You guys can read all that and go through that. But the project here, what we're going to be looking at is print out the template of the color wheel. I want you to only use red, yellow, and blue colored pencils to complete your color wheel. That means you're going to need to mix your colors, right? Because you only got the primary colors to do that. So please use only those 3 colors. All right, let's talk about the properties of color here. Now that we have the color wheel. So hue basically is the name of the colors, so such as yellow, red, or blue, whatever color you're talking about. And so those are the actual hues. Hue implies that it's at its highest intensity. When you take another color and mix it in with those colors, you get the intensity lessens, okay? So let's talk next about intensity. Intensity means how brightness or the lightness of a color. If you add gray or black or a tone to it, you're going to lessen that intensity. And so you have intensity. That's what we're talking about there. Next, we're going to talk about value. Oh, value is up there. Whenever you add a black or white to a color, this will change its value, just as if we were doing it with, like in the last section with pencil. Okay. The project for this section is to print off the tint and shade templates. Use color plus white to complete the tint and shade template. So go ahead and do that, print those off, that should be easy enough. And then lastly, you have color schemes or color harmonies theories, sometimes they're called. And these deal with different ways that color can affect your mood or your appearance. Okay, so here when we look at our first color scheme, let's talk about monochromatic. It's just one color and its values. So it's pretty easy. It just deals with tints and shades of one color. Okay. Complementary colors, you're looking at complementary colors are two colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel, such as red and green, blue and orange, yellow and purple. These colors have high visual intensity, which means that when you put them next to each other, they vibrate a little bit. So they can be very vibrant and interesting. That's why you see them on a lot of really important occasions or really important sports teams uniforms, because they want it to be a very high intensity color scheme, such as like Christmas for red and green. Like if you think about the Denver Broncos, you're thinking about orange and blue. Minnesota Vikings, yellow and purple. They want you to be looking at their uniforms, so they want those high visual intensities. All right, next we have analogous colors. Those are three colors that are close to each other on the color wheel. This creates a really peaceful harmony. It's not if they're not contrasting with each other. They're pretty much in unison or in harmony. So you get like green, yellow green, and blue green. That would be really nice to go together in a color scheme. Okay. Next, we have a triadic color scheme. Basically, these are like a primary color scheme. These are three colors that are equally spaced on the color wheel. So triadic, um, you know, equals, you can say they're primary, secondary, or any other equally spaced three colors on the color wheel. Next, we have the split complementary, which is basically you choose a complementary color scheme and then split on one side of the color complement. And so let's say our color complement to start with was red and green. You can split that and your color complement will be green, red blue, and a red violet, and orange, red orange. Okay. And then the double complement, as you can see, is basically just four colors on the color wheel that are spaced equally apart in terms of creating a rectangle. Lastly, you have the cool and warm colors on the color wheel, which you have warm on the right half and cool on the left half. This does have to deal with the color's temperature and how it does make the image feel. So you can have a cool color, which is normally blues to purples to lighter, darker greens, to where you have warm colors, which are the yellowy greens all the way over to red, things that you would think of as being hot. Okay, so there you go. And for the project on that one, you're just going to print off the mandala templates and go ahead and complete those different mandalas. You're going to do 3 of them, so choose any three of the color schemes that we have just discussed, and just complete those mandalas that you are working on. Okay, here's a nice little video about psychology and color and how important it is and all of that. So that'll give you a little bit of help out there. Lastly, we have our major project for this section, and that is going to be setting up a still life and using a color scheme to create it. If I were you, I would strongly suggest using a color scheme such as a monochromatic color scheme or a complementary color scheme, or even a triadic color scheme is possible. That's what the guy in the how to set up a still life video does. He has some good information. He does kind of go off the trail a little bit at some points, but he does talk a little bit about lighting and setting things up properly, and he shows you how to put different layers and tiers in your work, which is really important. And then the second video is how to draw a still life, so it gives you a little bit of background information on how to draw a still life, okay? So that'll help you out with that section. So complete a still life using a color scheme. And like I said, I would either recommend the triadic, the complementary, or the monochromatic color scheme. Okay? Next, we have our helpful stuff, and you can see at the bottom of the page all of our printouts that you're going to need for this section. So that's where you'll find those to print those out. They should pop up as a PDF, and you'll be able to get through that pretty easy. Make sure you get through all those sections. So you make sure you have the color wheel worksheet, the tint and shade worksheet, 3 mandalas with color schemes on them, and then complete a color scheme still life. So all 4 of those projects need to be done for the color section. And once you finish those, you'll be done. Make sure you add another Art Gang member for this section in your Art Gang, and we'll go ahead and grade you there. Remember, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and we will get stuff taken care of for you, okay? All right. Hopefully this works for you, and have a good day.